Now, you might be surprised to know that most small business owners, most freight brokers that come into the freight broker world, they don't usually fail because they can't move loads or they can't find carriers. For the most part, what people usually fail in a freight broker business for is because they don't know how to manage a business. And a part of managing a business is managing the finances of a business. That's a big, big part. And when you come into a business and you're already struggling to manage your own personal finances, just imagine what that's going to be like when you add the business finances on top of that. That could be chaotic. So you want to get a hold over your personal finances before you come in and start running a freight broker business. One of the things that I think you really need to pay attention to, because I see this a lot out there, is your mortgage. A lot of times people have mortgages that's these big exorbitant mortgages. Now they're trying to run a business, and that usually doesn't work out really well because you need your business to produce a whole lot more so that you can help, or it can help pay your mortgage. So I think it's important that we understand how our cost of living will affect your overall freight broker business. It will have a big impact. Take a look at your overall expenses and try and do your best to downsize those expenses. One of the major expenses, major purchases that usually have a big impact on your business is a mortgage. And you know how we do. We see these beautiful houses and we have a thought in our mind and say, hey, you know what? I'm only going to get a $150,000 house or a $200,000 house. But when you get out and you start looking at houses, emotions kick in, and then you go from 150 to 200 and you're at $300,000. And then you got a $2,000 a month payment that you probably can't really afford, especially and run a business as well. So how I look at mortgages is this. I want to get number one, a mortgage that I can afford. Now that I've wised up, I want to get a mortgage that's only a 15-year mortgage because it's going to cut the interest that I have to pay. And I also want to get control of that asset as quickly as possible. I want to pay that house off. I want it to be mine. And that way, the only thing that I'll have to pay, if I have to pay anything, is property taxes on the home. And then, of course, to keep and maintain it. But now, while you have a mortgage, I still think that it's important to control the cost. When I first got my mortgage, I financed $300 and some odd dollars, $322,000, I believe it was. And I was paying about $2,000 a month for my home. And what I realized is that there's no way that I can go home and comfortably run a business and pay a $2,000 mortgage. I knew that would be immense pressure on me. So what I decided to do was to say, okay, I'm going to give it about 5 years where I go in and I'm going to smash that principal and bring that principal down so that I can refinance. So I went from $322,000 down to $180,000 in about a 5-year period. And then I refinanced. So when I refinanced, now I'm refinancing only $180,000 and I'm paying $902 a month instead of paying $2,000 a month. And I did that back in 2012. So when I'm looking at that asset now, I only owe $95,000 on my home. So the idea is to pay that $95,000 off as quickly as possible. And every month I go in and I pay money against the principal. Why do I do that? Because I want to bring down the principal so it'll bring down the interest payments. Because how I look at interest payments, it's like riding down the freeway and throwing money out of the window. So I want to throw less money out of the window. So I want to bring that principal down and pay less in interest payments. I look at it this way. My biggest expense is taxes. After that, it's interest. So what I look at and say is, okay, how can I make it easier on myself? Well, decrease your debt. And then, of course, you pay less interest. I don't like interest payments. I hate interest payments, as a matter of fact. So now I've gotten in a disposition, a frame of mind that says, okay, anytime I look at loans, the only time I want a loan is if I can get a loan and not have to pay any interest back. That doesn't happen a whole lot. There are some loans out there. I just got a lawnmower recently and I didn't have to pay any interest on it. It was basically you just pay us back what you owe. I like that a whole lot better. When a loan comes with interest, that's what I don't like. because that means that I'm paying more money, throwing more money out of the window on interest. You want to look at your overall finances. Your cost of living is a big deal. That will have a big impact on your business, because if you have a big overhead, a lot of overhead on the personal side, imagine bringing additional overhead now that you have a business. So we want to make sure that we are able to manage the finances properly. And a part of that is getting control of your personal finances first. And if you have a house, get that house so that you can manage it, control it, get control of it as quickly as possible, make it your own, and that way you don't have those payments to keep paying. You don't have that interest to keep paying. Now you live in the peace of knowing everything is good, your house is secure. You don't have anything to worry about as that is concerned. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. There are going to be different things that you are going to run into as far as managing money is concerned. You're going to learn some different things about money management. Here's what I think is most important. Control your overhead. A lot of times we get out of control because our eyes get big. We see something out there and say, oh, I want that. But instead of saving for it, we put it on a credit card. Instead of saving for it, we get finance for it. And then, of course, that comes with interest. That comes with payments and a long-term commitment where you're paying money out of your pocket. And if you don't have to do that, that's probably a good practice not to do it, because it keeps more money in your pocket. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you want to learn more about the freight broker business, guess what? You know it. I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a look into the freight broker business, let you see how it works. That way you can get a better understanding before you come into the business. And then if you want to know more about how you can transition from a part-time freight broker to a full-time freight broker, I'll leave a free video right here. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.